There has been a huge flood of rumors and leaks about Assassin's Creed Codename Red, the upcoming game set in feudal Japan, and in this video we're going to go through all of them, starting from the main characters of the game, a female ninja supposedly named Naoi, and a male samurai based on the historical figure of Yasuke, and a little bit of their presumed backstory and the historical characters that they might meet in the game, before moving on to the rumors about gameplay, including stealth, exploration, the game's map, the ninja tools, a little bit about combat, and the presumed release window for the game. As you can see, we have a lot to talk about, so let's dive in and have a look at the recent rumors about Assassin's Creed Codename Red. So yeah, in the last few days and weeks there have been so many new rumors and unofficial info drops on Assassin's Creed Codename Red, the upcoming Assassin's Creed open world RPG game set in feudal Japan, and the first game to release on the Assassin's Creed Infinity platform that was presented last year during the Assassin's Creed Showcase in September, and that is going to provide a shinobi or ninja experience, according to the words of executive producer Marc-Alexis Cote. Since last year, there have been so many rumors about the game, oftentimes shared by Insider Gaming and its owner Tom Henderson, references about a focus on stealth with a Splinter Cell-esque approach, including the possibility of extinguishing lights in the game to not be spotted, the mention of two playable characters, and a great deal of confusion about them, as they were originally described as a female samurai and an African refugee turned into a ninja, before that was taken back and corrected into a rumor about the game featuring a female shinobi and an African refugee turned into a male samurai, that of course everybody thought would be inspired from the story of Yasuke, a man of African origins who worked for the famous Japanese daimyo Oda Nobunaga and lived in Japan from 1579 to around 1582. There were then sort of indirect confirmations by Ubisoft employees that the game was planned for 2024, reports that games were cancelled at Ubisoft to divert devs to work on Red, weird rumors about the game being renamed to Edo even if that didn't match the time period, and also mentioned that Red would be the last of the Origins formula, whatever that meant, considering that Red is actually going to be the start of the RPG creative track of games planned for the future of the franchise. Alright, we're caught up. It's getting more and more complicated to summarize more than a year of rumors. But anyway, that was more or less the rumor landscape for Red until the end of last month, where something really unexpected happened that kicked off a series of rumors and leaks that is still running wild today. And that was a writer, a Ubisoft writer, Pierre Boudreau, currently working on Codename Red, who updated his LinkedIn page with this banner showcasing what looks to be a female protagonist for the game, along with the logo of the game on the right and what seems to be a Japanese kanji written underneath it, some animus effects on the sides of the picture, and a Japanese-style building in the background. So that is likely to be an early model of our female protagonist in the game, and like it often happens with this kind of things, the first leaks started a whole cascade of additional rumors and leaks. YouTuber Jonathan, for example, soon thereafter shared this tweet where he stated that the female main character of Red should be called Naoe or Naoi, but her name might be changed from now till the release of the game, as it happened for Eivor from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, who was originally named Jorah. Jonathan also added that her name in Japanese kanjis written vertically might be what was written underneath the red logo in the leaked picture, and finally he also added that her story might be similar to that of Bayek from Assassin's Creed Origins, with a member of the Order, the Templar Order I'd imagine, killing Naoi's father, which will send her on a path of vengeance that will cause her to join the shinobi in her time. So that, if proven true, was already pretty interesting, but it was still nothing compared to the rumors that were about to be shared in the subsequent weeks, and more specifically a few days ago through a new Insider Gaming article which was packed with information, starting with the info about who the second main character of Red is supposed to be, and that, according to the rumor, is going to be Yasuke, not a character inspired by him, but quote-unquote is certainly Yasuke, the historical character whose story is going to be rewritten and adapted to align with the game's story and direction, and currently Insider Gaming doesn't know whether Yasuke will be his actual name in the final version of the game or not. Still, if this is actually true, this would make Yasuke the first historical character to be a main protagonist in an Assassin's Creed game, which is pretty huge, although he wouldn't be the first playable historical character, as Assassin's Creed already allowed to play as historical characters such as Jack the Ripper and King Leonidas of Sparta in its mainline games. But that wasn't all. Insider Gaming moved on to the other rumored main character of Red, our female ninja, and they corroborated Jonathan's information about her being called Naoi, but they also added more. Her full name would be Naoi Fujibayashi, or Fujibayashi Naoi, reading the name as you should in Japanese with the family name always preceding the first name. According to Insider Gaming, Naoi would be the daughter of real historical character Fujibayashi Nagato, who is considered to be one of the 3 greatest Iga Jonin, with Jonin being the highest rank within ninja families and clans, and Iga being one of the territories in Japan where many shinobi traditions originated and corresponds to the modern Mie prefecture, which could also hint at an area of the map in the game. More specifically, Fujibayashi Nagato was a leader of the Iga clan and ninjas during the 16th century, one of the top 3 jonin along with renowned character Hattori Hanzo and Momochi Sandayu. With his followers, Nagato often served the daimyo of the Omi domain in his battles against Oda Nobunaga, who was one of the leading figures of the Sengoku period and was regarded as one of the 3 great unifiers of Japan. This support by the shinobi for his opponents would later prompt Nobunaga to invade the Iga province and other territories as well to try and stamp out the ninja clans for good, but many of them went into hiding to preserve the culture, and specifically Fujibayashi's family did that, with Nagato's descendant Fujibayashi Yasutake ending up compiling the so-called Bansen Shukai, which is a sort of ninja encyclopedia. So maybe, in Red's version of the story, again if all of this turns out to be true, we might see Naoi carrying out this endeavor after the death of his father that supposedly is going to send her on a path of vengeance. Insider Gaming also claimed to know more about the backstory of the other main character of the game, that is Yasuke, which, as they reported, has been partially rewritten compared to his real-life story. In Red, supposedly Yasuke will be a slave traveling on a slave ship, which will end up being attacked, with everybody but him being killed, including his lover. Yasuke will then be rescued and brought to Japan, where he will learn the way of the samurai under Oda Nobunaga's service, which matches what actually happened to his historical counterpart. Insider Gaming reports that at the beginning of the game, Naoi and Yasuke will be fierce enemies, and I'm not surprised to hear that, considering that Yasuke will work for Oda Nobunaga, trying to unify Japan, which will historically involve his troops clashing with the Iga clan, and thus with Naoi's father Nagato. Still, Insider Gaming mentioned that later our 2 main characters will try and become allies on their desire for Japan's unification, so we'll see how that pans out. And still, that wasn't the last of it, because Insider Gaming also shared some rumors or leaks about several of the historical characters that are supposed to appear in Codename Red, who include Fujibayashi Nagato, that is Naoi's father, obviously, Oda Nobunaga, again obviously based on the previous rumors, Akechi Mitsuhide, a samurai general of the Sengoku period best known for being a vassal of Oda Nobunaga, but also, eventually, his assassin, Hattori Hanzo, a renowned ninja of the time, also a jonin from the Iga territory, and here identified as a returning character. I wonder if Insider Gaming meant that he's returning from the Assassin's Creed Memories mobile game released a number of years ago. Then Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the second of the 3 great unifiers of Japan, Kodai-in, that is Hideyoshi's wife, Oichi, the younger sister of Oda Nobunaga, Ashikaga Yoshiaki, the 15th and final shogun of the Ashikaga shogunate, and Akechi Kagemitsu, which, if I'm not mistaken, might be an error. The more well-known historical figure should be Akechi Hidemitsu, who was a senior retainer of Oda Nobunaga's vassal Akechi Mitsuhide. So yeah, a lot of historical characters already rumored to be in the game, and judging by the time in which they were all alive, I think we can safely assume that the game will take place during the Sengoku period, and more specifically sometime between the 1550s or 1560s and the 1580s or 1590s. Also, I did mention earlier that feudal Japan and the Sengoku period were already featured in Assassin's Creed in mobile game Assassin's Creed Memories in 2014, with many of these characters like Hattori Hanzo, Oda Nobunaga, Akechi Mitsuhide, and Toyotomi Hideyoshi already making an appearance. There were Pieces of Eden involved too, but at the same time, it's lore that is long gone, and while I hope it's going to be kept one way or another, I don't think many remember it, and I'd expect the devs to create their own story here with Red without really taking Memories in consideration. I guess we'll see, but of course, that wasn't the last of the rumors and leaks on Codename Red. We still have all the gameplay part. Before we move on with that though, I wanted to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thank you to our Access the Animus insiders and initiates for their incredible support since we launched the memberships on our channel. You guys are incredible and your support is helping us work as much as possible to create more and better content. And if you haven't joined us yet and you'd like to become a member on the channel and gain access to a number of exclusive perks including early access to videos such as this one, you can do that by clicking the join button underneath this video. So, like I said, even if what we have seen is already a whole lot, there are even more rumors and leaks concerning Red and specifically its gameplay aspects. These came once again from YouTuber Jonathan, who shared these while commenting the recent articles by Insider Gaming, and he himself stated that all of this info and content are of course still subject to change. So he started by discussing the exploration in Red, whom he reported to be less guided with a lot fewer markers, a type of exploration that he compared to Elden Ring and to the exploration mode from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which gave players hints about the area where their objective is, but wouldn't pinpoint its exact location. In terms of the game's map, Jonathan said that he was told that it will be larger than Valhalla's one, but smaller than Odyssey's, or at least on a similar size to the map of those two games. Which, coming out of Mirage, seems like a titanic endeavor, honestly, but I wouldn't have expected anything less from an open-world RPG game in the franchise like the ones we are now used to. Now let's talk a little bit about stealth, because according to the rumors, for the first time in Assassin's Creed, with Red, players will be able to crawl on surfaces like on the ground or in the grass, quote-unquote Metal Gear Solid style. Jonathan also mentioned that to accompany this feature there will be different types of grass and stalking zones in the game, like the tall grass we're used to where we can crouch and not be spotted, but also lower grass where we'll have to crawl in order to not be spotted. And keeping to the topic of stealth, Jonathan sort of corroborated some previous rumors. Apparently, in this game, night and shadows will be our friends, and in general, players will be able to hide in shadow areas akin to Splinter Cell, and they will also be able to extinguish torches in order to create new shadow areas and hiding spots. The game will also provide Naoi, our female ninja character, with gadgets and tools such as the kunais, which are the traditional knives associated with ninjas that were used both as throwing knives but also through their grips in hand-to-hand combat, the shurikens, that is again classic throwing stars associated with the ninjas but also samurais, smoke bombs and bells, and I imagine used to cause distractions. Like Jonathan said, these are all going to be for Naoi specifically, while Yasuke, or the samurai character heavily inspired by Yasuke, will have a different arsenal, but Jonathan wasn't able to share info about that specifically. Speaking of tools, the game is also rumored to feature a grappling hook, as it is the case in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, but differently from there, it's supposed to be less automatic and guided and more manual and physical, and it will be used to climb walls and possibly other actions. Moving on to combat, it looks like the game might feature a posture bar similar to the one used in Sekiro that players will have to break in order to destabilize the enemies and then be able to deal more damage, considering that apparently enemies will be able to defend themselves a lot. And speaking of enemies, the game will also feature enemies with guns, according to Jonathan, presumably the so-called Ashigaru, who are infantry employed by the samurai class of feudal Japan that had been around since the 13th century, and so it makes sense to find them in here as well. The game will also supposedly feature a spy or espionage system, and what Jonathan used to describe it is that there will be encampments scattered in the map like in the recent RPG games. Each of these forts will have a commander and players will have to decide whether to kill him or spare him. Killing him will earn players his loot and equipment, while sparing him will cause him to work for the player, will turn him into a spy of sorts, and thus he will be able to provide information on upcoming missions and possibly more, which is quite interesting. In terms of graphics, the rumor mentioned that Codename Red won't be a huge graphical leap compared to the likes of Alan Wake 2 or Star Wars Outlaws. In Jonathan's words, the game will be beautiful, better than the last ones, but it won't be wow. And well, I guess we'll have to wait and see to all make our judgment in that regard. And finally, Jonathan mentioned that he was told that currently the game is in an advanced state of development and so it should be due to release at the end of 2024, which sort of matches what had been mentioned both by a few Ubisoft employees on LinkedIn and Insider Gaming as well, so more or less a year from now, not that long. There would have also been some more commentary on what some outlets like Insider Gaming are calling the modern day of Assassin's Creed Red, but honestly, that modern day will not be contained in Red. It's going to be featured within the Assassin's Creed Infinity platform. It might even be asynchronous to the games to a degree, so I think it's best to discuss all of these topics in another dedicated video. Still, this was a huge rumors or leaks dump about Assassin's Creed Codename Red, and honestly, overall, if even just a tiny bit of this turns out to be true, it doesn't seem half bad, especially the stealth bits, and as of now there aren't even mentions of magical or fantasy bits, so that's not bad either, though of course it is so very early, and of course again, these are all rumors, nothing is official, so it's always best to take all of this with a grain of salt without having expectations based on unofficial information. But of course, if you can't wait for the time when Ubisoft is going to drop some official information, then we have more videos focused on rumors and unofficial information about Codename Red, like the one you are seeing on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.